a few clicks. Is that really possible?
Yeah, it is. And I'm going to show you, hopefully.
Great.
Cool, thanks. So yeah, Alberto again, and now I'm definitely at Tanssi. It's that easy to change. But yeah, today I'm going to show you a little bit about Tanssi, what it is, how it works, technically speaking, but very high level. But more importantly, we're going to deploy an app chain, right? It's going to be clicks. We're not going to do any code. It's not going to be boring. It's going to be super easy, super snappy. But yeah, let's talk before we go into it. Let's talk a bit about app chains, right? And then we've seen a huge demand on app chain development, right? At least I think this graphic is already outdated, but basically, like, there's been a 10x growth in app chains in 2020. You can see, like, for example, Polkadot was launched, 2020 more or less, a little bit before that in Kusama, but since then we've seen an explosion of the number of blockchains that exist in the Web3 ecosystem. And the main reason is one of the main reasons is that nowadays it's so easy to do a blockchain, right? I mean, if you think about it, Bitcoin was like the first blockchain, then there's a few, and then Ethereum, and then because it was so hard to do a blockchain from scratch, nowadays it's super simple, and with Tanssi it's even simpler than that. And so to show you this, before I continue the presentation, let me show you. We're going to deploy an app chain, and hopefully by the end of the presentation, the app chain will be live producing blocks. We should be able to connect MetaMask, but we'll keep it simple for now. All right. So I'm going to hop out, and then I'm going to go to the Tanssi dapp. Okay. And you can see that the Tanssi app is fairly straightforward and simple. Right now, we offer two kind of deployments. One of them is called Snap App Chain, and the other one is a dedicated app chain. So a Snap App Chain is a response to the demand that Tanssi had, in which we want to just test it out. We don't want to like a long-term thing. We just want to test the flow. We just want to test how it feels like. And so a Snap App Chain will be live like for only for 48 hours. It's going to be like automatically deprecated and destroyed, so that way you can just have your environment, test it out. Oh, this is really cool. Deploy some stuff, and then that's it. I tested out. I demoed it. That's it. And then, if you're interested in building something a little bit more long term, you can go to a dedicated app chain, which is, it's a little bit less automatic to onboard right now in testnet. But like, you will have it long term, and then you'll have full support for long term, and then you have everything a little bit more stable and not only for 48 hours. So for this demo, let's deploy an app chain, and yeah, a Snap App Chain, and you will see how easy it is. So the first thing you do is that you click there, and then you have different options, right? So a lot of teams just want to have an EVM compatible blockchain, an EVM compatible L1, which is one of the core things here. It's an L1, not an L2. And so we already offer like a template that has the major components to have your own EVM compatible L1 under Polkadot. You can also offer like a very simple software template, or you can bring your own. If you're like a team that it's well known in the space, or like you have your own runtime, you can also bring it. So for this, let's do something simple. I'll do test the chain ID, which is something that is very EVM like. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a test net, so it doesn't really matter what you put here. But in production, you have to actually do something about it in a GitHub repo so that no one else uses it. Token decimals is fixed to 18 decimals, which is a native representation in decimals for any EVM compatible blockchain. Token symbol is going to be test. You can touch some stuff around gas and things like that, but we're not going to mess with any of that. Note that this EVM compatible blockchain is also EIP 1559 compatible, meaning that you have type 2 gas configurations, and also dynamic pricing, meaning that when the price of the transaction depends on the congestion of the network, like Ethereum. Here we're just saying, okay, my account is going to be sudo. Sudo is something very unique to Polkadot SDK based blockchains, in which is an account that has special rights. It can do things that like are kind of centralized, but for a testnet it's perfect. And we're setting, okay, my account is going to have a bunch of tokens to start with. And then you can also have smart contracts at Genesis, right? So let's say I'm a game, I have a bunch of contracts. You can say, okay, at Genesis, I want my contracts to be on these specific addresses, and so on. But notice that I'm not coding at all. I'm just putting numbers, putting names, and things like that. So now I'm going to click continue. So this is going to check that I have some balance. Notice that I don't have any Dancebox Snap balance. And so I'm going to just do a request token. So I'm going to do like this. Oh, I have to sign in. I didn't know that. See, that's why live demos are not good. All right. This is going to be a bummer. Let's see if I can do it here. No, it's not going to be possible. Try GitHub. Oh, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. I thought I was going to be able to do it. Probably. Yeah, let me see if I can. Yeah, I could, but I don't have it on me right now. Let's see. This is just for because like we want to get in touch with teams and things like that. So it's more for like being able to get dance box snaps. I'm actually a whale in snaps, I think, so I should be able to get some. Yeah, let me try it really quick. I should be a whale. I'm actually surprised that I don't have enough tokens. Uh, yeah, that's the main issue, man. Uh, I think 100. Yeah. Let me try to get them from the team. It's just late over there, man. It's not even like possible for me. Units like so you need basically some Tanssi network. Tanssi is a blockchain, right? So you need some tokens from the Tanssi network blockchain, and you need some tokens from the relay chain, right? So that's you need to do two things, and I'll explain them in a minute. But I'm trying to figure out what we can do to get some tokens. But anyways, I'm not sure if it's gonna be possible. So sadly, we'll leave that for another demo. So basically, how the process works is that Tanssi provides a lot of things for Appchain developers, and I'll show you how many Appchains we're running right now. But Appchains are important because it provides developers a lot of things. It provides customization of their own network. They'll have their own contracts in their own network. They don't have external dependencies, external teams. You can provide vertical integrations in your own tech stack. Like I said, for example, you'll have your own token so that you can create a smart contract around your own token. And that's really powerful because you don't have like so many moving parts. You just have your own blockchain with your own application specific thing for that blockchain and so on. And also because you'll have your own token, you can decentralize your network as you wish. You can provide utility to your token via staking, via governance, and via other things as well. And so it's really important that you understand the benefits of an app chain, but not only that, the benefit of using Tanssi to deploy your app chain, because Tanssi will actually help you with a lot of the challenges of doing app chains. Because from what I've said before, it's like, oh, app chains is the future. It's so cool, but why are not everyone should be doing app chains, right? And the thing is that implementing an app chain brings many challenges, right? You need a lot of infrastructure management, because now when you go into a blockchain like Moonbeam or any other blockchain out there, a lot of these complexities are taken care for you, right? You have already RPC providers, you have block explorers, you have wallets integrations, all of that. When you hop into that ecosystem is solved, right? And so there's a lot of infrastructure stuff that it's really complex for these kind of teams to have to deal with, because they're normally smaller teams. You also have problems with security, right? I mean, from day zero, you need to understand how your proof of stake system is going to work. You need to have a really strong validator set. That happens a lot with the Cosmos SDK Tendermint, right? Because in Tendermint, that's great, it works, it's a consensus mechanism, but it's proof of stake, and it's as secured as your stake on the network, right? So if I want to have a blockchain to upload pictures of my cats, which I'm not sure if that's going to be, like you said, that's going to bring millions of dollars for security, right? I need to be able to find ways to make it secure enough, right? But in Tanssi, that's not the case, and I'll explain why a bit later. Also, like if you're an app chain and L2, you have to figure out cross-chain and bridge implementations, which is really complex. There's a lot of things that are not given to you as a given. So it just creates a lot of like slow time to market. It's really expensive to build a blockchain as an app chain, and it's just a lot of inefficiencies everywhere, right? And so how Tanssi works on this is basically it has a perfect blend of app chain functionality with ease of deployment. And this is because Tanssi can provide block production as a service, so you don't have to worry about who's going to produce your blocks. And then it's because it's part of the Polkadot ecosystem. Polkadot will verify these blocks, which have really strong validator set that is backed by a multi-billion-dollar proof of stake system. You also have data retrievability as a service, so you don't have to worry about RPC providers, archive nodes, none of that. That's going to be given to you once you deploy your app chain. You have automation accessibility. You're going to have already like the possibility to have oracles, have indexers out of the box from day one without having to go to Telegram channels and then negotiate with these teams and tell them to implement your technology and so on. And also because we're part of Polkadot, you're going to have interoperability and cross-chain as a given from day zero. You don't have to do much. So a lot of the inefficiencies that I was mentioning before, they're given to you out of the box from day one without any issues. And this is the ecosystem that Tanssi has built. We have a lot of integrations on different verticals. We also have a lot of like things on DeFi, gaming, dev tools, and infra. And so it's an ecosystem that it's growing really quickly. And it's because, like I said, it's a perfect blend between having your own app chain and having your own app chain in an easy way, which is truly the complex part. Like having an app chain sounds ideal, but it's really complex to do. And with Tanssi, you can do it in a few clicks. And this is how you can see Tanssi and Appchains in Tanssi in a competitive landscape, because as I mentioned before, Appchains are now very popular and everyone is offering Appchains left and right. So you have things like Polkadot, which is extremely decentralized, but there's a high setup effort, and I mean, us coming from Moonbeam, we understand it. With Cosmos, it's probably less decentralized, but it's also really, really high setup time and effort. You have Avalanche subnets, which are like less validator set, and it's pretty hard to get in there. And you have things that are a little bit easier and more automated, but they're really, really centralized, right? Like, for example, we've seen things with Arbitrum and OP-Stack and everything like that. So they are doing a better job and making it easier for developers to sort of deploy their own app chain at a sacrifice of decentralization, which is a crucial component in Web3 for sure. So let's do a little bit of a deep dive in some of the core technologies that Tanssi offers. And we're going to try to keep it high level because there are a lot of things that are somewhat complicated. But the first thing of how Tanssi can provide a trustless and decentralized block production mechanism, which is crucial for your chain to be live, is because Tanssi is part of the Polkadot ecosystem, right? So Tanssi and its app chains are part of the same Blockspace provider, which is Polkadot. So you can see, for example, that you have the Tanssi blockchain, which is Tanssi is going to be a parachain in the Polkadot, and then you have what they're called container chains or app chains, which is basically they're all the same level. It's not like L1s and L2s, which they're nested under the L2s are nested under the L1. They're all L1s basically under Polkadot that acts as a relay chain. And so Tanssi can actually assign block producers because of the same common point, right? So Tanssi is connected to Polkadot, and then the container chains are connected to Polkadot. They have a common point, and they share some data. And so through that shared data, they can actually say, okay, Alberto, now you're gonna produce blocks in container chain A for the next 1,800 blocks, and then you're gonna produce Sasha, you're gonna produce blocks in container chain B, and so on and so on. And this is how basically it's done. So you have a session 1, which is 1,800 blocks. And so basically there is some assignment already for this session. Like I said, Alice goes to produce blocks in this blockchain, Bob to this one, Charlie to this one, or you can have multiple in a single blockchain. And then you also have already assigned the next sort of collator assignment for the next session, okay? And what's actually happening is that if Alice is assigned to blockchain 2, she's already, while she's producing blocks for blockchain 1, she's actually already syncing blockchain 2. So that she's ready to produce blocks when the session changes, basically. And that's also all embedded in the Tanssi software, let's say the Tanssi node, the Tanssi binary, right? So it's all done for blockchain producers, so they don't have to do anything special. It's as easy as just running a command, and that's doing everything in the background. It works like magic, to be honest. So like I said before, basically you will have a collator pool. Collators is basically block producers in the Polkadot ecosystem. And basically there's a collator assignment mechanism that just says, okay, out of this pool, these are going to go to the orchestrator chain, how we call it, which is Tanssi. And then you have these going to container chain 1, these going to container chain 2 for this current session, right? And then while that's done, then on the next session, this is already shuffled, right? It could be the same, it's highly unlikely, but then maybe C9 is going to container chain 2 and so on. And so that's how it's on non-stopping doing that for every single session that it's 1,800 blocks. And how do we do this? Basically, like I said before, it's because we have a common point in which the candidate block on Tanssi has a state root, the candidate block on the container chain has a state root, and this is all stored on the relay chain block. And basically that a block producer in Tanssi has all that information basically because it's running both a container chain software, Tanssi software, and it's also running a relay chain embedded. And so what happens now is that the relay chain block contains the container chain state proof, right? And also contains the Tanssi state proof, right? And so basically when Tanssi says, okay, I'm going to assign C1 to this chain, I'm going to assign C4 to this chain, I'm going to assign to C5 to this chain, there's a state root on that assignment that then is also stored on the relay chain, right? And so basically the relay chain knows, kind of, that each collator is going to go to a specific chain, and that can also be found by the container chain itself. And so what happens is that basically Tanssi already says, okay, you're going to go here, you're going to go here, and then this Tanssi state proof, the Tanssi state root is going to be also known by the container chain. And so when a block producer, basically what happens is that when a block producer goes and produces a block for the container chain, right, these things have to match because the block producer's signature is embedded into the block, right? So if Tanssi said, okay, Sasha, you will be producing the next block, and then Bader comes here and says, I'm producing it, it's not going to match basically with the state root that it was expected for that block. So that's how basically the collation assignment mechanism works. And that's how it's basically decentralized and trustless, because Tanssi will assign these based on a proof of stake system that will allow you to sort of basically trustlessly say, okay, you're going to produce the next block, and it's your responsibility only, and so on. And this is all done, like I said, it sounds complicated, but you don't have to understand this. This actually works. It's embedded into the in the native sort of mechanism of Tanssi runtime, and it's actually working right now in testnet. So let's do one more slide about deep dive Tanssi interoperability. So Tanssi can connect to external networks, basically because we're part of Polkadot. And so basically we will be part of the bridge hub, for example, in which we can use sort of the native bridge hub bridges to connect to Ethereum, for example, or Kusama. And then Tanssi can also integrate with any L1, L2, and 3, or any GMP link platform, because, for example, we're EVM. You can build your own EVM compatible Appchain. So any EVM compatible bridge can deploy into your Appchain. But more importantly, also Tanssi is part of the Polkadot ecosystem where Moonbeam is, right? And so there's a lot of synergies between Moonbeam and Tanssi Appchains, because Moonbeam is connected with a lot of bridges to a lot of networks, right? And so basically Moonbeam can be this point of contact between your Appchain and any other ecosystems out there, for example, like Cosmos, Avalanche, and Ethereum, right? So a lot of people ask because, part of the founding team at Tanssi came from Moonbeam, and they were said if it's competitive or not. And it's pretty complementary, right? Because a lot of these app chains are going to need, for example, liquidity, are going to need to connect to these external ecosystems, and Moonbeam can provide that gateway for them. And the last thing that I want to show you, it's a Tanssi dapp, which I completely failed to do a demo, but basically it's super simple. You can go ahead and try it. It will take around 10 minutes. Basically, we have to just approve a PR in a GitHub, and in 10 minutes, we'll have your collators producing block in your app chains. You can connect MetaMask, you can deploy contract with Remix, and it's super, super simple. What I wanted to show you now, the last thing, is basically a dashboard that I created. Nothing fancy, nothing that good looking, but it's to show you how many app chains we're running right now in Tanssi at the moment, right? So basically, you can see that we have, okay, it's loading. This is basically Tanssi testnet. So this is a network in Tanssi. This is Tanssi itself in the testnet. And you can see that we have all these chains right here that are slowly loading, producing blocks. It's a lot, okay? All of this is running right now on testnet. We have deployed around 200 snap chains already that, they're killed every 48 hours. But you can see that, these chains over here are producing blocks live. Hopefully we can see this refresh. You can see that the last block was 16 seconds ago. Now it's 5 seconds ago. And these are all app chains, right? This is app chains that people have deployed. DAO, Emu, Docs, Dog, Galaxia, MTM, Dev, whatever. And these are deployed through the dapp that I showed you. And you can see that these, for example, Tanssi itself has 5 block producers assigned. This one has 2, 2, 2, 2. And you can see if they're EVM compatible or substrate compatible. And you can see the chain ID, the last block, et cetera, et cetera. Down here, we have the snap chains, which are, like I said, they get killed a little bit easier. And you can see these have only like 3,500 blocks, 36, 37. So they're newer chains. They're more recent. And, like they're launching a lot of chains, a lot of people with random things, just trying it out. And it's cool. It's cool to see that people are trying it out, checking it out, making sure that it works. And then they get basically only one block producer because there's infra costs associated to that. But yeah, it's a lot of people deploying a lot of app chains, and they literally have no experience, right? They have no Rust experience, no substrate experience, because it's as easy as just clicking and signing to GitHub, which is why I failed in the demo. But yeah, it's super easy to do, to be honest. So I definitely recommend you go to the dapp. It's apps.tanssi.network and try it yourself. And in 10 minutes or less, it just depends how easy we approve the GitHub PR. So we're not awake 24/7, so you might have to wait a little bit more sometimes. So yeah, if you want to learn more about Tanssi, you can visit tanssi.network. This is the Twitter, the Telegram, Discord, and the Tanssi documentation. And yeah, if you want to check this slide out, you can scan the QR code. And yeah, thank you if you have any questions or anything.